Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Today y Mañana. I'm Alex. This is Xavier. We're very excited to have you joining us on a beautiful morning here in Charlottesville, Virginia. We've had a couple spring days recently, which is nice to see.
Oh, it's wonderful. Wonderful. I always feel like Superman, right? The sun shines,
and you feel
energy coming. Even though I'm a Flash guy, I still feel all that energy
still get
coming.
The sun. You like the Flash as if he was getting solar power. But there you go. So we're very excited for today's show. It's going to be fantastic. Of course, love being here on the I Love CVille Network set. Big thank you, of course, to our presenter, Emergent Financial Services, as well as our good friends, Matthias Yohn Realty, of course, always supporting the show. Charlottesville Opera supporting the show. We have a lot. They have a lot of stuff coming up. We'll talk about as well. Castle Hill Cider, Craddock Serious Insurance, our friends Miguel and Chit, and of course Forward Adelante, the premier Latino networking group here in Charlottesville, Virginia. Already got some people liking the show this morning.
They must know I'm on. That's what it is.
They must know. They must have checked the schedule and said, Xavier's here this week. I like the show this morning. Dante, thank you for watching the show this morning. Adrienne Boyer, thank you for watching the show this morning. So we've got a great, or they know the great guests that are coming out. They know that we're going to be joined first by Alyssa
that ego really quickly. Thank you.
I can't let you get too big there. Right, so they know that we're going to be joined first by Alyssa Corbin, who's the owner of the Urpí, followed by Christine Fairfield, the executive director, and Michael Slon, the music director of the Oratorio Society of Virginia, here to talk about upcoming concert. And then last but definitely not least, Charlie Rogers, CEO of Innovative Software Solutions and the chair of the board of directors for the Charlottesville Scholarship Program. So we got a full house today, but a fantastic full house. So I am definitely looking forward to it.
Oh, so do I. And I mean, I really like to learn a little more about Urpí, I mean, when I first read that, I said, Urpí, and then it kind of hit me literally about 5 minutes ago, so now I'm really excited to find out more about it.
It always takes you.
It takes you,
I inherited that.
There's a lot of information here, and that, what do you call it? They have to get it right, got to go back into history and find, it's tough.
There you go. I know. I always tell people I inherited that a little bit. You got to give me 60 seconds.
A computer where you have to clean it up once in a while because you got
defragment.
Defragment. There you are. That's the word I was looking for.
There we go. So and now we're ready, and now we're ready to do it. So we are very excited to welcome to the show this morning and start us off Alyssa Corbin. She is the owner of the Urpí. Alyssa, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Glad to have you on. So for those who don't know about you, tell us just a little bit about yourself and how you started the Urpí.
I was a preschool teacher. My entire business model has happened by accident. I did face painting for a community event that my school was doing just for fun, and was invited to do some for work. And when I moved here, to Waynesboro in 2017, I realized that I was charging way less than I should be. And all of a sudden, the side hustle became, the possibility of being a real job. And when I connected with a local Charlottesville entertainment group for the chance to do parties for them, she asked me if I did henna, and I said no. And I really didn't have any desire to add new services at that time. And she said, well, I feel like you could, so I'm going to put you down for henna. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I should learn how to do that. And so, but I couldn't be happier that it happened. It really has become my very favorite medium. And so that's when the Urpí was born. I stopped teaching. I do this full time. And so.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
So I'm just curious. So for those of us that don't know much about that, but could you, it's not on here, by the way. That question's not here. I didn't read it, okay?
What is henna?
Yeah, because I have no idea.
So henna is a plant. It's the henna lawsonia plant, and the leaves of that plant are crushed, and we make paste out of it. And so my recipe is you have to have a few different things to make it work. But I use henna powder and brown sugar and an essential oil. It has to be very specific essential oils that will break down the plant cell wall to release the dye into the paste, so that when it's applied to skin, it will create a stain. And so
is
it's
it
a
also
fascinating
edible by any
process.
chance? Because anytime you put brown sugar in something, I
You
get
know,
excited.
that's the question that I get more often than have you ever tasted it? No. No, I have not. With just the lavender, it's probably fine, but I don't recommend it. It would probably just taste real sweet and grassy.
So you go with the Cuban, once you say sugar,
Sugar, like
she's
sugar
gonna
something,
ask,
it's got to be good, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just,
Can I taste
Possible.
But so the henna then kind of makes a stain or dye on someone's skin,
Yes.
which then I guess slowly disappears over time.
It does. So the way it bonds with the keratins in your skin, and that's why it creates that. It starts out as a very like bright carroty orange color when you first take the paste off, and then it gets it reaches that rich red brown color in 2 to 3 days. So the stain gradually deepens over the first couple of days, which is a really fun process to watch. And I'm still not entirely sure why it works that way, but it keeps happening. So
How long does one last?
it can last up to 2 weeks depending on placement and
that's
care.
pretty good, yeah.
So feet last a really long time. Apparently the tops of our feet don't exfoliate as quickly as the rest of us. So feet can last for 3 to 4 weeks sometimes.
The little kids must love that, because I know as a little kid, like the thing you hate most is that face paint. And if it doesn't last or you have to wash off in a day, they're so disappointed.
Yeah. So quick tip, you can save a face paint. If they really, really love it and they don't want to part with it, you can take a baby wipe and press it in until the color comes through very gently, and then peel it off, and you can keep it forever. So once it's dry, it's just there.
Oh, that's
And
so
it doesn't
neat.
take it
That's
all the way
amazing.
off, so they still have the
They
face
still
paint
have
for
it
a little
on.
while, and they
Gotcha,
have it to
gotcha.
keep. So.
Oh, that's
interesting. That's cute. Yeah, that's
they
cute.
must get such a kick out of that.
Absolutely.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, Lisa Char watching the show this morning says, I love the glitter bee.
Aw.
Thank you, Lisa. Elizabeth Miller watching the show this morning. So we got lots of fans joining us already.
And so when you put this on whatever on your arm or feet, whatever, then you also put glitter on it. Is that where the glitter comes in, or is that something else? That's
Sometimes you can add
Okay.
glitter to the top of the paste. It just makes it fancy for the length of
Okay.
time it has to stay on.
And will the
'Cause
glitter last too?
No, the glitter will come off when the
eventually
paste
come
does.
off. Okay.
And so you have to leave it on for, I usually recommend 4 hours, but 6 to 8 is kind of the sweet spot for the
Okay.
best, longest lasting stain. But I do also make my own line of body glitters. And so I spread it like pollen. That's why I'm the glitter bee.
that makes
the
total
trail.
sense.
I stopped someplace in Stanton the other day and went to get out of my car and saw what I absolutely recognized as a piece of my own glitter laying in the parking lot. So I was like, I was here.
There you go. It's proof. It's proof you were there.
Yeah.
So I know health and safety is a major component of what you do, because obviously
Absolutely.
you're putting something on people's skin and you want it to be the best. Tell us a little bit about the health part of how you put the henna together and so forth.
Yeah, so henna is a grossly underregulated industry. So anything you can buy online, if you can get it on Amazon, I'm pretty sure even the jewelry on Wish shouldn't actually touch your skin, but definitely not the henna. And so they can put whatever they want to on the label. It can say organic, it can say all natural, and it still has kerosene or turpentine or PPD. So things to look for if you're getting henna, if it's any color other than brown. If it doesn't smell good, it should, even if it's not your favorite essential oil, it should smell natural. It should smell nice. If it isn't being refrigerated, because natural henna is a perishable product, it's much like food. It has to be refrigerated, or it will lose potency. It doesn't get dangerous, but it will lose potency. Something else to know is that while natural henna, very few people are allergic to actual henna. There's a condition called G6PD deficiency that's found mostly in people that are of either Mediterranean or West African descent, and henna can be a trigger for that. So that's one of the reasons that I don't henna children under 7, because usually by that time it's been diagnosed some other way.
Okay.
But as a trigger, it can be fatal for children. So I try to be really, really careful, because the safety of my clients and my people just really means a lot to me.
So you use the one that's really natural and
Yes.
hasn't been like...
I make my own, so I don't have
You
to
make
worry
your
about
own, there you go.
anything. I know where the ingredients are coming from, and that it's going to provide a high quality stain, but also a safe one.
Oh, that's
So the ones you can buy online sometimes has either turpentine or kerosene, you're saying?
Yeah,
Is that so that
absolutely.
they last longer? Is that the key? Or
It makes them quick staining. It's a preservative,
Okay,
and
yeah.
so the things like that will make it last longer. But it's not
put it
worth the
on your
risk.
skin, yeah.
Absolutely
You wanna
not.
put- Yeah, neither one of those sounds something like I want to put on my skin,
Yeah.
kerosene or
And
turpentine.
your skin is the largest organ
Yeah.
of your body, and
Exactly.
so whatever you put on your skin is going to impact what's
being
inside
absorbed
it.
into, yeah,
And
yes.
so these chemical hennas have been linked to brain failure, liver function issues, heart stuff. Like, I mean, it's just the more I learn about it, the more awful it gets, the scarier it becomes.
I had no idea.
Yeah, so important
a lot of
that
people
you're
don't.
there providing a safe option for people.
Absolutely. And I do sell natural henna cones as well for people who want to play with it but don't want to take the risk. So
that makes sense. That makes total sense. A shout out to Cynthia Murray. Thanks for watching the show. Let's see. I think it looks like Lisa had another comment. She says she's very proud of you, Alyssa. So Lisa is really proud. As are we. So what are some? Oh, go ahead.
No, so one of the questions I have is like, so obviously little kids love glitter on their face, whatever. So do they tell you what they want, or do you do whatever you think is best on them? Does somebody come along and say, I want a mask around my eyes that had glitter? Or
oh, absolutely.
So
absolutely.
They tell you they have a.
And I use a lot of face painters will use a picture board, so they just pick the picture of the face paint that they want. Part of the problem with that for me is that I have the little kids that are like, that one's got 4 dots, mine only has 3. And I'm like, sorry, your forehead's not as big as that kid's, but. And so I use a word board, so it just has the words and a little picture next to it, so that kids that can't read yet can still tell what's available. But I mostly tell them, you can just pick a size and tell me your favorite things, and we'll run with it, because their ideas are always so much more fun than mine.
I'm sure.
So,
yeah.
I've done some weird stuff.
That must be so much fun. So what are some fun, what are common events that you get called out for and applications? What are some different things, so when people think of the Glitter Bee, what are some of the range of things you've seen people use you for?
There's a lot. And so this is one of the reasons that I'm rebranding from the Glitter Bee Face and Body Art to the Glitter Bee Art Company, because I really have branched out so far beyond that. And so people will call me for mural work, storefront window painting. But as far as events, I do girls' nights in, I do bridal stuff, I do boudoir sessions. Private sessions are held in my home studio. But also music festivals, corporate events, team building things. So we can do art parties, pretty much anything but a paint night. I feel like there are enough of those in the world. I can do the tie-dye parties and people mixing their own glitters, and we paint sugar skulls, and we do flower crowns, and just all manner of things. And so if it's an idea that that a group has, we can figure out a way to make it happen.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So, yeah.
That's great.
And obviously birthday parties are a big one.
Yeah, so. I would imagine, birthday parties up there.
Can't forget the birthday parties.
Yeah, but it's good this way people know all the different varieties. I mean, I could imagine, I know sometimes corporations and stuff, they have wellness days and things, and they want to just do something fun. It's something fun, just relaxed, that you're, get a little henna stain on your arm or something. It just won't be permanent. So it's not like a tattoo parlor or anything. We have it for a little bit.
And I do a lot of test tattoos. People that are like, I think I want a tattoo right here, but I'm not sure if I'm going to love it forever. And if you can deal with it for 2 weeks, there's a good chance you might like it.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, this way if after 2 weeks you're like, oh no.
But my favorite thing is in my private sessions, being able to have opportunities to make women feel good about parts of themselves that they've not really liked, but have hated. And so being able to decorate those parts of them in a way that they're like, oh my gosh, I really love this.
Yeah.
That's what it's about for me.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
Probably why Sonia Velasquez-Shipland says she's literally the best. Literally. So what's it like? I mean, the audience always loves to know a little bit about the entrepreneurship side. What's it been like? Apart from the
in a nutshell.
Some of it there.
Solopreneurship is definitely challenging, and my rainbow sparkle brain is not a big fan of numbers, and so, but I am still my own accountant, I am still my own marketing person, so doing all the things can be really overwhelming. So I love what I do, and being able to just, sparkle and joy all over the place, but the back office stuff can be complicated. So if you're going to start something, find help. Do your networking.
The nice thing is if we like what we do and we have a passion for it, right?
Kind of helps.
And the rest of it is I have to do this also, and I'll do it, because like you said, especially the accounting and the marketing, sometimes that can be a pain, but. If the end product is something that you really enjoy, then you say, okay, I'll put up with it for now.
It does make it worth it in the long run.
Yeah.
So,
and it's good for people to know. I think, like you said, for people who are thinking of getting into it, but also to realize, there's a lot of work that goes into it. Sometimes your passion for what you do comes out, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean it's like all fun all the time. Like you actually put a lot of hard work behind the scenes into what you do. That people who maybe just come to get the face paint for the first time, or they bring their kid, they may not see immediately. They'll be like, "Oh, this is such a nice job." Say, well, yes. It's something you love to do, but it's a lot of work that people need to appreciate. And
as a face painter, a lot of times you're approached as a hobby artist. They assume that it's something that you just do for fun. And I'm like, nope, this is my whole life. And so we get a lot of requests for can you donate services? And I'm like, nope. Girls got to eat.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely, exactly.
And I do have a few organizations that I just really love and that I will donate time for a couple times a year. And I do things for my church family regularly as often as my schedule allows me to. But that's so just so people know.
Yeah, I think it's one of the biggest struggles of small business. I can't tell you how many times we talked about it at the CIC workshops and stuff. That so many times you'll get approached as a new small business, and a lot of people want to kind of take advantage of, oh, well, if you do this for free, you'll get exposure. And it's like, no, you got to be firm and say, no, I'm a business. I'm not a nonprofit.
Yeah.
Heck, even if you are a nonprofit, you still have to make some money.
Absolutely.
Right? Exactly. Just as one of the first things you learn.
Even if you work for a nonprofit,
exactly. You know what I mean? A nonprofit doesn't mean you don't actually bring in any funds, otherwise you wouldn't exist anymore. But this is a business, you have to pay me.
Yeah. And when people start out, and for people who are starting new businesses, when you start out offering things for free for the exposure, it takes years to come back from that, and to be able to actually start charging what you're worth. Especially when you have that value before you get started, and you're discounting it, and you're discounting yourself, and that's not doesn't work well in the long run.
Yeah, no, it's so key. So that's great advice for people. Carolyn Claytor says, "Yay, Alyssa!"
Thanks.
So you got so many fans. You can tell that you have spread your glitter everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere, that's right.
Everywhere.
That bee's been working hard.
Yeah, she's busy.
So Alyssa always like to ask, where can people find you, get in touch, book you, and so forth?
So I'm on Facebook as the Glitter Bee Face and Body Art. Instagram's Glitter Bee VA, as in Virginia. But the easiest way is probably just to head straight to my website. It's glitterbee.net.
Oh, super easy. And Glitter Bee, like the bumblebee.
Yes, like the bug, not the letter.
Glitterbee.net. Alyssa, it's been such a pleasure to have you on. I love what you do. I love that you're doing it in a safe way for people's skin. And so thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been educational. Thank
Thanks
you so much.
Thank you so much. All right, so as we rotate here, I'm going to rotate from one grade. It's so amazing. I love businesses like Alyssa's where she figures out, they find something, right, that maybe, henna stains, right? And it's like, this isn't being done in a way that is best for people.
Exactly.
I'm going to go in here, or sometimes, even accidentally, right? I'm going to go in here and do it in a way that's safer for people and healthier for people. And it's just, I feel like that's what entrepreneurship is. It's saying, here is something that I can do better or in a way that I think is good for this particular type of client.
Because who would know? I mean, first of all, I didn't even know what it was. And second of all, I didn't know that, if you bought it, that it could be that dangerous for you.
Yeah, exactly. So you want to be careful. Denise Barrett, I'm going to skip your middle name, Denise, because I don't want to pronounce it wrong. Says, "Go, Alyssa, you are awesome." So yes, indeed, Denise, she is. And from one awesome guest to another pair of awesome guests, we are super excited to welcome to the show this morning Christine Fairfield, the Executive Director, and Michael Slon, the Music Director of the Oratorio Society of Virginia. Christine, Michael, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Yeah.
It's great to have you on as someone who attended the all-night vigil last year for Rachmaninoff. This is very exciting for me because it was amazing. So for those who aren't familiar with the Oratorio Society, tell us a little bit about yourselves and how you first came to be involved with the society.
You want to start? Or?
Sure, I'll start.
Okay.
I'm actually only recently involved with the Oratorio Society. I live over in the Valley in Stanton, and after the pandemic, I was reminded, or maybe it was because of the pandemic, I was reminded how much I missed singing in a really good group. And so I started looking around, and I'd heard about the Oratorio Society through mutual friends and other connections in the music scene. And so I came over and I auditioned and I checked it out. So I first started in 2021 as a new singer with the ensemble. Wow. But
fast promotion.
Fast forward. I have a music background as a singer, trained singer, and I had been working for a nonprofit school over in Harrisonburg, and I brought a skill set that has been a really good fit. So when David Perry stepped down last year, I applied for the executive director position and joined them in that capacity this fall. And I continue to also sing in the choir.
And she's very good, by the way.
You won't let her go, right? I mean, no matter what you're doing, you're still singing.
Yeah, that's exactly.
His last interview question was, "Will you still sing with us?"
That wasn't make or break, but it certainly is.
He was insinuated, but
So, to answer your question, so I came to Charlottesville 2001 when I got hired on music faculty at UVA, and so I'm the director of choral music there. And then it was about 2011, the Oratorio Society reached out to me and said, "Would you consider being our interim director?" And then the next year I became the official music director. So it's been more than 10 years now working with this, really wonderful group of talented singers from our community.
Which is really, I think, the amazing part, because tell us about this. This has a long history, the Oratorio Society. I think it was founded in the 1960s.
It's over 50 years.
So over 50 years old.
Wow.
And what's kind of like the mission and how, for those who aren't familiar with it?
Well, we are a community chorus, auditioned, but totally volunteer. So our entire ensemble is made up of people from all walks of life, including a couple of high school students at the moment, which is fantastic.
Wow.
I think we have 6 decades of, so it's generational. I mean, it's quite extraordinary.
Everything from high school students to retirees and in between. School teachers, not necessarily music teachers. We have a couple of physicians, and it really runs the gamut, business owners and so on. And we share a passion for good choral music. And Michael's a fantastic leader. He makes it really fun, and rehearsals are well paced, and we really get to do some interesting music, and we can talk more about our next concert, because it is definitely different than some of the things we've done in the past.
Yeah, tell us. Go ahead.
I was just going to add to what Christine's saying that as you go from the internal facing part of the group, as we look out to the community too, the idea is to carry this passion and joy that Christine's talking about into the community, so that people are transformed, and inspired by the beauty of choral music, as you were when you heard that beautiful Rachmaninoff performance last year.
It's to hear something like that is so music, and the human voice, I think, has a beauty. I mean, as someone who loves classical music, right? You have your symphonies, you have your instruments, but there's a certain quality, particularly something like Rachmaninoff, when it's just the voice. There are literally no instruments in the all-night vigil other than the human voice, and that had that echoing spiritual quality. It moves you in a special way.
But you think about it. I mean, think of all the symphonies that we know, right? And there's something about the symphonies where there's a choir. I mean, obviously the Ninth and even Mahler's. I mean, it's just like when you get to that part, it just elevates that symphony to a different level. I mean, it really does. I mean, like you said, that human voice just adds something.
There is nothing like it. Some composers and some musicians have said all instruments aspire to the human voice because it's so beautiful and expressive.
Exactly.
That is true. That is true. So, I'm excited. Tell us about this upcoming concert. We did last year. It was one piece, but this year there's 2 pieces that people get to enjoy at the concert on May 5th.
So, just to frame, kind of what we do in a typical season, we always have our Christmas at the Paramount just down the street here, and that's wonderful, well attended, and that can be quite a big, diverse gathering of repertoires, right? So a lot of different pieces. And then we do our March Together in Song, which we just did last month, where we invite community singers to join us. They learn the piece on their own, then they do one day master class and then sing with us part of the concert.
Wow. Yeah. Boy.
So maybe we'll have to get both of you next year, yeah?
You don't want to hear me sing.
Well, trust me. Okay. Well, and then we usually are doing some kind of what we could call major works, in that later spring slot, like what you heard last year. And so this year, we're doing a program which is kind of called the Choral Mass, Old and New. And if you look at the history of music, it's interesting that the mass settings have been this kind of vessel which composers have poured their own voice into over the centuries. And you can almost trace cultural history and musical evolution if you track this, right? You listen to Palestrina, and then you listen to Bach B minor mass, and then Mozart or Beethoven and the expansive romantic aspect. And then something like Bernstein Mass, which opened the Kennedy Center, which maybe not a mass at all, but this incredible crisis of faith piece. So what we have for this concert are two pieces, the Rossini, Petite Mass Solennelle, which is, despite the word petite, it's big. It's like there's the score. Well done, Christine. It's like an hour and a half or something. And it was the really last piece he wrote. He had left composing opera decades earlier and had taken some time away from writing music. And then late in his life, he wrote this. Wow. And then we're pairing that with Arvo Pärt, still very much a living composer, Estonian. And if you know his style, I told the chorus at the first rehearsal, its own way, it quiets the noise of the world. It's a very introspective, spiritual style, and the pieces could not be more different. Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, yeah. Radically different.
So I think it's a fascinating comparison of how the same text inspires
two different people,
different composers. And the Arvo Pärt, which is called Missa Syllabica, is called that because he only gave one note to each syllable. It's like Sound of Music, when Maria says one note in do, re, mi. And so it's just one note per syllable. I think Rossini might use more notes just in the Credo Fugue than Arvo Pärt used in the whole mass.
Well, they also do have that distinction. Now, does the Rossini one, that does have some instrumentation?
Yes. So his original scoring was for piano and harmonium. Just two. It was very intimate and the voices, and so we're doing it with piano and sometimes people substitute organ. And we'll be at St. Thomas Aquinas, so we'll use that organ and have a piano.
Gotcha.
Interesting. And then but Pärt's, I think, is just
organ and the chorus. But the organ's very sparse, just like 2 or 3 notes at a time. Nothing overt or showy.
So when you start Pärt's, because I started both of them and I listened to the openings, and of course you get Rossini's, which opens grandiose, and then I went, you just immediately
one voice,
are in. You it's like you moved from a great massive church in Europe to a monastery, almost in a sense.
Actually,
like quieter.
That is very astute, because I was once in the room with Arvo Pärt, and he's a very tall man, and he's like a monk. I mean, your monastery, he is a very quiet man, and he even though he isn't kind of an ordained monk, he presents like one sometimes.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
The personality comes through.
Yeah, it does. In the music.
And I think you've mentioned before to the choir that Pärt wrote, or the style that this particular piece is in, that became sort of his signature style, is one that came out of a period of silence, of contemplative silence that he had intentionally.
This is very true. So he was a young composer, and he was also, of course, there was the challenge of Soviet repression of his music, right, being in Estonia at that time. And he actually took, Christine is exactly right, a period of a number of years, I think 6 or 8 years, he would just study Renaissance and medieval music and didn't write much. And then in about 76, or this piece is from 1977, he came out with this new style that now is in a sense world famous. I mean, I was just reading something the other day, someone was saying, I don't know if I agree or not, but they were saying perhaps Arvo Pärt is the world's greatest living composer.
That's
interesting.
I have to say, as Nick and Xavier know, my opinion of modern classical music, maybe just out of my love for the classics, is I don't quite enjoy it as much, with the exception of Pärt, because I think at the Charlottesville Symphony was last year. They played a piece
University Singers,
by Pärt.
Da Pacem Domine.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I said, this is incredibly good. Like, this is the type of, like, a modern composer that just spoke to me in a way that sometimes some of the others do not. I think he blends beautifully a lot of things I love about some of the older classical traditions with definitely you can tell that he is a 21st century composer. You wouldn't mistake him for Mozart.
Yeah.
But
part of it is because I think when we're introduced to classical music, we're obviously introduced to the classic first, right? Especially the 4Bs, right? So, and then I think what happens if from early on you get introduced to the Mozarts and the Beethovens and the Bachs, etc., then when you get to love that music, and then when you start moving, at least the same thing happened to me. When you start moving into modern music, it's like, it's just not as good. You know what I mean? And so you just keep going back to the tradition. At least me, I keep going back to the tradition.
I've heard that from others. I get that. On the other hand, I find there's so many interesting things happening in newer music, and also a much greater diversity, right? Who is an actual composer? We've expanded that, right? So now we have all these tremendous women composers, and now we're listening more to minority voices, which is also, we did this Hailstork world premiere a couple years ago with the Oratorio Society.
And from totally different parts of the world now.
He's an African-American Virginia composer. He's he's also a great living composer. And so it kind of expands that idea of what is a musician. Yeah. But it is hard to be Bach. I get that too.
So I also have a question. So when you put these, events together, right? Do they tell you how many singers you need in order to do one of these pieces, or sometimes you may not have enough? In other words, let's say you need like 20 female voices and 20 male voices, or vice versa, or different numbers. Do they tell you, or you as a director decides how many voices and different?
So with a chorus, the good news is, it's not quite as specific. So as Christine was saying, we're a community chorus.
Right.
And we're almost, 90 right now?
We're 90 voices.
Yeah, 90 voices, which is great. So you want it to be, if you have talented people, you want to open the door.
Of course.
Right. So it's not like an orchestra where it says, well, there's a first oboe part and a second oboe part, and then you just have that, right?
Exactly.
It's more like the string section where you could have a sliding number. And in this case, it's really a matter of, I try to choose repertoire that we can do well. And the Rossini's definitely works well with big chorus. It's interesting you mentioned this because for the Arvo Pärt, I did trim it down. What would you say, 30, 35 singers?
35.
To make it a more chamber sound, because that is clearly his aesthetic.
Okay.
And it wouldn't have, So it's almost the opposite. It's not, do we have enough? It's, in one case, we had too many. But mainly I try to program so that the whole chorus is singing most of the time. Yeah.
That made sense.
Yeah.
That made sense.
Yeah.
So, how did you decide to do both? Like, what sort of drew you to these two pieces? Obviously, you have the contrast of styles and ages.
Well,
what about these two in particular?
I think so. Programming, and Christine and I have talked about this. She's only been with us 1 year, but she's a fantastic executive director. Programming is challenging.
I would think so.
And especially when you have multiple groups, which I do in town, which is a blessing, but there's a lot of music to figure out who's doing what. We just did this considering Matthew Shepard with University Singers, and now we have this coming up. I did want to get two pieces that were contrasting, and these are very much so. Pieces, I try not to over-program. Do we have enough time in the rehearsal schedule? It's very important to not just get the notes kind of right, but really make music, and I think that's important. Honestly, this is a show where you talk to businesses, so I'm going to say something extremely practical. Sometimes budget is a factor.
Okay.
Right? So the cost for instrumentalists and soloists in this piece is not particularly high. And whereas if we did Beethoven Missa Solemnis, that's a huge orchestra, and it's going to cost some money.
Yep.
So sometimes you also combine the artistic with the practical.
With what you can actually...
Right? You could speak more to the dollars and cents side of that, but...
Or certainly at least the anticipating, when we look ahead and plan the next season, or is this concert with orchestra or a smaller ensemble, or is this one with soloists, so we can make sure we balance our budget at the end of that.
Absolutely. Which made sense.
Is there any sense of what the community really likes? In other words, do you get a feel for, the community really likes this type of music, and then do we want to do more of that?
That's a great question. Certainly Christmas at the Paramount is very popular.
That's an easy one. Right?
But I think the group loves to sing big works with orchestra or just big works. You saw the Rachmaninoff. And look at the audience. That was almost 1,000 people for the two groups. And there's no it's just the voice, like you said. They love big works, and that was the first time that whole piece had been done in the Charlottesville area. But I think they do like to hear from this group bigger works, and that's kind of, the group is like a symphony chorus, like you would find in a larger city.
Oh, absolutely, and the quality of it. That's the beautiful part. I mean, it's so beautifully done.
They're doing well. It's growing. Yeah. I don't know. What would you add to that? That's certainly the case.
Yeah. I don't really have any more comment on that. I think that pretty well sums it up.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Well, I was going to say, I think that there are a lot of, as a famous radio announcer said once, I think it was Garrison Keillor. There is grandeur in small things. Sometimes a 4-minute piece can just change your world and blow your heart and mind.
Absolutely.
But we do, I think, tend sometimes toward bigger works. And, we've done some great collaborations. I know you have our other artistic partners in here sometimes.
Charlottesville Opera.
Right, so we have collaborated on Bernstein, Candide, and Verdi with Charlottesville Opera. In fact, 2 of the 4 soloists on this concert are people that we worked with as emerging artists at Charlottesville Opera last summer. So there's a connection. And we've worked, we've collaborated with Charlottesville Ballet and, as I say, the University Singers and the Charlottesville Symphony, and the list goes on.
And I know Leanne gave you a shout out because they're very excited to be able to have the chorus in Tosca upcoming.
It's important. And it's great having Leanne, who is a
there's
partner.
Some overlap. Some of our chorus members are in the Charlottesville Opera Chorus. The Ting Pavilion event
July 1st.
The festival that will be or many of our singers will be part of that as well. So.
That's exciting because that'll be a first-time event.
And the collaboration is just fantastic to see. So, tell us a little bit about. Go ahead. Oh, you're excited.
Who do I talk to about getting Carmina Burana here in Charlottesville? Who do I have to talk to?
You got the right people. We did it in 2007 with University Singers and the Symphony.
You moved too late. That doesn't count. 1 year later.
When did you come?
2008.
Well, it's
actually, about due then.
I'll say, I don't think it's wrong to say, it's on our docket. We've been in conversation with the ballet, actually, Charlottesville Ballet, about doing it in the reasonably near future because it was a piece that was danced. Originally, so.
And Sarah from Charlottesville Ballet.
Sarah and Emily are.
And Emily, they're fantastic.
So
they will do a great job if that comes to pass.
So keep your fingers crossed.
Okay, we'll do that.
Keep your fingers
Stick around.
Don't go anywhere. Don't leave Charlottesville.
Don't leave Charlottesville
for a while. Tell us a bit about because I know it's going to take place. So it's going to be May 5th at St. Thomas Aquinas Church. Right. Tell us a bit about the choice of location. I mean. Going there, I love it, but what sort of says, all right, let's do it here?
Yeah. We actually, when we did the Rachmaninoff last year, we didn't think that we'd be back there so soon. But after that experience, it was pretty clear that was the only place that we wanted to do these 2 pieces. It's just acoustically, ideally, set up, and the space is just beautiful. We are offering a live stream again of the event, so fantastic. That is something that anyone who's not going to be in town for the concert or can't make it for whatever reason in person can purchase access to the live stream to watch that at their convenience. But really the best experience is going to be sitting in that sanctuary. It's just not just from the musical standpoint, the sound, but the aesthetics of the space just will create an overall experience, I think, that is not to be missed. And our soloists are fantastic. They're going to I'm so excited to hear it all come together.
I agree with that completely. I mean, you try to get to know all the spaces in your town, right? So we have Old Cabell Hall, and we have the Paramount, and First Pres Church is a beautiful place. And as you know, St. Thomas recently tore the church to the ground and rebuilt. And the result is, it's a very beautiful sacred space.
It is.
And I'm friends. Father Walter over there he came from New York City, and he used to do artistic events at his church up there, so he understands the idea, that intersection with the arts, and so this is a nice opportunity.
Yeah. And I think there's something too special about hearing, because you always talk about sometimes you go to Europe and you can see great works of art in a church where they were originally put, and you get that sense. All right, this is where the artist intended it to be. Like, and not that it wouldn't be beautiful in a museum, but everything comes to this and so to hear the all-night vigil or to hear a mass in a place where it traditionally would have taken place. Not that it wouldn't be sound beautiful in a music hall,
concert hall,
but to say this is where this might well have been performed at one point. Yeah. And just to I think you sense that there's just a fit there. And it's going to be interesting to see that contrast of how each of them fits differently. Each piece fits differently in that space.
That's a great idea, right? Because music is framed by the spaces you present it in. So
true.
Yeah.
It does. I am just so excited.
That's going to be fun. This is going to be great.
It's going to be amazing, and having as someone who's gone to the holiday concert so many times and love it, especially them. I went the one year when the little kid didn't even wait for the microphone. He just belted 5 golden rings.
The family holiday concert.
Yeah, the family holiday concert.
That's right. It wasn't even close to the
normally
microphone.
They go to the microphone, but the little kid just goes 5 golden rings.
That's great. You want people that are eager to sing in the world, right?
So I love that. It was just so much fun, and the all-night vigil last year is just stupid. I can't recommend enough just the quality of of the singers there and the way
it really is amazing.
I mean,
it's top notch. To think that they're all volunteers, it's incredible.
It is amazing.
It's incredible.
It is. And
do you ever get anybody that goes to you and says, "I want to sing," and then has no experience in reading music, but their voice is great, and you sit there and go,
you kind of discover it.
How do I work with that?
That is a great question. I guess I'm on air. I'll have to answer it publicly.
No, you don't have.
You don't have to.
No, I've over the years I have heard a gazillion auditions, and I've heard everything from sublime. I mean, truly sublime. To I don't show it on my face, but don't call us. We'll call you. And I think the challenge is you have to find the right mix of talents you're looking for, right? It's the voice, but it's also a certain level of musicianship and ability to learn music. In this group, we learn pretty fast. So reading is a pretty useful skill.
Exactly.
And so I think what I would do is if someone was borderline, I would try to take them. If someone is needing more work, really work on their musicianship, I would actually reach out and recommend that they work with a coach for a little while and grow their musicianship a little and then come back and re-audition.
Okay. Yeah, which makes total sense. You get to the point at which you're then able to participate.
Because education is a process of stretching, right? You want to stretch people a little beyond their level, but if you make that stretch too far, too fast, then it won't go.
It will start or be discouraged.
The foundation's not quite there yet.
Yeah. No, that makes complete sense. Makes complete sense. Got a lot of people. Shannon Donovan is watching. Holly Slon says, "Hi, Michael and Christine."
Hello, dear.
Did Strategic watching. Nate Wilson, Courtney Davis, John Blair watching the show this morning. So you guys have definitely a lot of fans,
which is what we expected.
So important thing, just it is you guys. I know you're supported in part by donations and people. So where can people go to support? To learn more and most importantly to get tickets for May 5th. It's in the evening.
Yes.
I believe.
8 o'clock.
8 p.m.
Yes.
So you'd have time to have dinner then go to St. Thomas Church. And so where do people get tickets for that as well?
People can purchase tickets online from our website, www.oratoriosociety.org. They can also get the phone number off our website and give the office a call if they would like to purchase over the phone. We'll also have a box office at the door.
Okay, excellent.
But there are 2 tiers of seating, so sort of the premier seating up front and center. Those are going really quickly online, and then there'll be lots of general seating behind that.
Yeah. Do not do what I did last year. I found out about it too late and didn't get the middle seat. It was still fantastic. But I'm like, dang, I would have loved to have been in that middle seating.
Fair enough.
And you know what? Don't wait till the door because it was packed last year.
Yeah.
So I would say get your tickets as early as you can.
Yep.
And people can indeed donate and support the work that you're doing. Correct.
Yes. Also on our website, there's details and a button to donate. We would love to see some new contributions that help keep the music going and support our next season. We have some fantastic plans.
Yeah, we haven't revealed it yet, but we have some big.
We'll just have to have you both.
Just have to have us back.
You can do the reveal.
Know a little more.
The reveal,
In fact, there'll be a little preview or a little sneak peek of what that looks like in the program for the May 5th concert. So if you come, you can get a peek at what's coming up next year.
Oh, wonderful. I'm
Looking forward
so
to that
excited.
too already.
I know, exactly. But think about it, if you all donate, you can hopefully help one day make Xavier's dream of coming to Verona come true. Just donate to help Xavier's dream.
You got to write down,
It'll
this
be like
is
the,
only
the Make-A-Wish.
for...
Yeah, the Make-A-Wish thing. You have to make Xavier's wish come true and donate to the Oratorio Society of Virginia. Michael, Christine, this has been so much fun.
It's been a lot of
You
fun.
guys are a joyful pair.
Thank you.
No, we
fun to be
loved
with
having
you.
you on. It was a great pleasure, and we look forward to having you back, hopefully to talk about next season, what people can look forward to.
Fantastic.
Looking forward to
Thanks
that,
again.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So good. Thank you. Take
All
care.
the best on May 5th.
Yep. All righty. So as we do one last rotation here, we got some more people watching this morning. We got Samira Ali watching the show this morning. Sandy's face painting watching the show this morning. So lots of people enjoying this great work that Oratorio Society is doing. They just, it's such a blessing to have groups like that
It really is.
in our society, and people like Michael and Christina. You tell how much they love that and want to share it with others, and that's what makes this such an amazing community.
It really,
we have
just to think,
like
I
that.
said, just to think that they're all volunteers singing. I mean, that's just, that goes to show you when you're volunteering to do that, the passion you have to sing, and they're not singing jingle bells. They're singing something that you really have to put your heart into.
Put some work into.
Not that I can sing even jingle bells, but however, these people know how to sing.
Exactly. So it's amazing to have. And to think that they do this on the basis of volunteers and donations and stuff. And speaking of people who just give a lot of their time and are really a blessing to the community, we're excited to welcome to the show this morning Charlie Rogers. He's the CEO of Innovative Software Solutions. He is also the chair of the board of directors of the Charlottesville Scholarship Program. Charlie, thanks so much for coming on this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Good morning, Charlie. How you doing?
Doing well.
You're looking great today, I tell you.
Thank you.
He's always looking good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Always looking good. So, Charlie, for those who don't know, your story, I've been, blessed to hear it when you've talked to the Charlottesville Scholarship Program when we had our board retreat. But, tell us a little bit about your story and how you founded ISS.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. And I'm a pastor. I want to get that out there. I'm a pastor, and I'm a father of 9 kids.
Wow.
And a husband of a local girl. We've been married for 30 plus years, and I'm on several boards. You mentioned the scholarship, the Charlottesville Scholarship Program, and of course I'm the founder and CEO of Innovative Software Solutions. So you probably heard blah 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 9 kids. I need to clear that up. My wife is amazing. I get to take vacation every day from 8 to 5, and while she dealt with all 9 of the kids.
I wouldn't use vacation as a word.
Right. But, every day at 5 o'clock, I would check out and rush to get home. And as my wife tells it, she no longer had to deal with 9 kids by herself. She then had to deal with 10. Exciting to be here, and I love the question. So, my passion, and we've been talking about passion all day. My passion is to bridge social and digital divides for those who have educational aspirations but divorced of opportunity. Yeah. And that passion started for me when I started college. Now, I was a first-generation college kid. All right? I knew nothing about college. I knew so little about college that my first day I wore these two-tone jeans because I had to look good, right? Two-tone jeans, one side corduroy and one side jeans. I don't know if you remember those. And nice shirt, and I really looked good. And I got on campus, and I saw all these kids with shorts and T-shirts, and I'm thinking, wow, I really am out of my environment, right? So first generation college kid, and I go to one of my first major classes, and I get into that class, and I'm all excited. It's about 100 kids in this class. My major is computer science, and I'm excited. And the professor walks into the class, and the professor looks around, And he says, 100 kids in this class. He said, every year we graduate about 15 kids. And it's 100 of you in this class. He said, I'm going to help you to figure out statistically who those 15 are. Mm-hmm. And he said, everyone stand up. He said, if you've never had a computer, nor did your high school have a computer, you might want to sit down. And I remember looking around, because you don't want to be the first to sit down, right? You're looking around. But I had to sit down. And the reason I had to sit down is I grew up in the projects, right? And in the projects, my mother, she tried to put food on the table. If I would have asked her for a computer, I wouldn't be here today. Or I had teeth missing. Something would have been wrong with me, right? Because she focused on putting food on the table for me and my siblings. So I had to sit down. And the professor went on to say senior year, junior year, down to about 8th grade, and it was about 15 kids standing. And the professor said, statistically, those 15 have the best chance of graduating. And I just remember being devastated. And after that class, I did what in my mind, any kid from the projects, first-time college kid would do. I quit. I packed my bags, and I went back home. Because I figured college is a reason why no one in my family had ever gone to college. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just a chasm between kids in college and me having access to tools and help and those kind of things, funding. So I went back home, and you can imagine the shock on my mother's face when she thought she had already gotten rid of me. But I came home and explained to my mother what happened, because back then we didn't have cell phones, so I couldn't call her, right? Yeah, I had a pager, but she didn't have a pager. So I went home, explained, and my mother was the internet before the internet. Now I don't know if any of you have moms like that, but that's how she was. She was the internet before the internet. So I explained it to her, and she just went out knocking on doors, telling people, explaining the problem, and about 2 weeks later, someone came knocking on my door. And I go to open the door, and the person at the door looks nothing like me. This person navigated the wilds of the projects and didn't look like someone that belonged in the projects. So I feared his life. So we brought him into the house, and he had this big box. And he gave me this box. I didn't know this person. I opened up the box. It was a brand new computer. That moment completely changed my life. It made me understand the power of random acts of love, how they can bridge social and digital divides for those aspiring for more but need opportunity. And I just remember that saying, man, that right there, love, that random act of love heals. It heals in many, many ways. And so eventually I went back to college, and eventually I graduated. That's a long story. But I remember when I graduated, I said, I want to go see how many kids actually graduate from the computer science department. And I walked over to that graduation, and I started counting. And it wasn't a lot of kids then. I was counting 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So that professor was right. Only about 15 was going to graduate. But where he was, and it was tough, and he was right. But where he was wrong is I was one of the 15. But I do remember walking on that stage to get that little fake diploma. That's another thing I didn't know as a first-time kid. You get this little fake diploma. I was expecting to get this big thing.
He went to college, but I still didn't know. You didn't know that. I was like, what?
Yeah. So I'm walking across the stage, and as I'm walking across the stage, I'm thinking in my head, not just about that fake diploma, but I'm thinking, I want to do for as many kids what that person did for me. And I said, I don't know how I'm going to do that. And I know I need resources to do that, but I want to do, and that's what I'm thinking of as I'm walking across the stage. And what came to my mind is start a business. People in my generation, in my lineage, hadn't gone to college. They hadn't started a business. I say, if I start a business, somehow that can fund me being able to help bridge social and digital divides. If I get involved with my community and join boards, I can help bridge social and digital divides. So the idea to spark the business happened right there as I was getting this fake diploma. But it also gave me my passion in life for reasons why I created the business. I didn't create the business to be the next, Bill Gates or Steve Jobs. I created the business to find funding to give back to the community to bridge divides. And so that's how the business idea came all about. That's how my passion that I have came all about.
That's an amazing story.
That's an amazing story.
Yeah,
it's
really
just,
is.
and
It
I
really
wanted people to hear that. It's just a beautiful thing. It shows you, I think, also too, because you now have the successful business, which helps you to do those things. Just what entrepreneurship can do, what a small business owner whose heart is in the right place and to do that can do for the community through founding a small business. It's amazing what's there. So from there, of course, how did you first become interested in the Charlottesville Scholarship Program?
All right, so that's a great question. And so when you have this passion, right, you're trying to find ways to be impactful to your community. So in the business, what we did was we created a 3% plan where that 3% of all the revenue we receive, we want to give back to the community. So we do that every year. We give that back to the community, and I felt like that was good. But there's just more. You want to do more. And when I heard about the great work that was being done at Charlottesville Scholarship Program, I said that is something that I want to go. Here's a program that is providing scholarships to kids in their freshman year, their sophomore year, their junior year, their senior. I mean, sticking with not just providing, here's something, thank you, see you another time, goodbye, never see you again, but providing support all the way throughout the undergraduate experience. And I said, that's what I needed when I was that kid that was going to quit college. That person, when they gave me that computer, they gave me hope.
Right.
Hope. And that's the Charlottesville Scholarship Program is providing hope. And every year, the scholarship, CSP, gives out 10 scholarships and then follow those 10 kids all the way through. So 40 kids are in the system at all times receiving financial help. And not just financial help, but navigational help, which is the mentorship program that CSP. So I said I have to get involved with that because it's part of my life mission. And I'm on several boards and several committees, and every committee and board I'm a part of is part of that passion and solving that passion, a piece of that passion that I have.
Because it really is an amazing thing. I mean, you're talking 2,500 the first year that a student does, and that goes up by 500 every year that they're in college. So the max is like 13,000. That's given to 10 different scholars, and like you said, the key is that navigator piece. Each student is paired with a mentor who's there to check in on them and see how things doing, support them. If they have a question, how do I renew? We keep track. Like the scholarship program sort of keeps track of how are things going? What's your financial situation looking like? Because you have a mission for us as our board chair to really get to the point where all our scholars are graduating debt free.
Oh my gracious. Man, we could be here all day talking about this. Is that, as you mentioned, right now, we try to provide about $13,000 over those 4 years. What we are looking at in the future is students coming out debt-free. And so we are starting to figure out how to work with local organizations, with the University of Virginia, with local businesses, to figure out how can we create a system where 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 kids that graduate from local kids, our kids, can graduate and go to college and come out of college debt-free. Because if you can help kids do that, then those kids will come back to their community.
That's right, exactly.
And make their community that much better.
And they will give back.
And they will give back.
Exactly.
They will pay that forward.
Yep.
So that to me is a very exciting program. It's a program that that if we can make happen in this state, it's almost like, the 529 plan, right? It's just something that I think would be powerful, and something that every kid in our locale will look forward to being involved as they go through high school.
Exactly.
And I think what's nice is how you explained it is the idea that every single year, right, they get another piece of that scholarship, as opposed to saying, here's $13,000, good luck, and we'll see you tomorrow, right? Because these young people need that mentorship. In other words, where are you struggling? Maybe we can help you with that, right? Because we all struggle through college. There are areas where you really struggle. And if you're struggling with that and you also have financial problems, it's like, I'm done, right?
Exactly.
So if you have a mentor that can say, let us help you. Let us help you through these struggles so you get to the next level. So I think that's a great program.
Oh, absolutely. So the young lady that I mentor, she's attended Syracuse University.
Oh, good for her.
In the ACC. So we have some very interesting conversations, especially when Syracuse plays UVA. And one of our discussions, and she's a brilliant young lady. One of our discussions, she mentioned, hey, I have some gifts for you. I said, oh, you do? I appreciate this. I mean, I call you because I want to check up on you, see how you're doing, see what challenges you have, to see if I can help you walk through challenges. And you have a gift. I said, well, what is it? And she holds up this Syracuse T-shirt. And I said, I'm not sure how much of a gift that is. But yeah, the Navigator program is what differentiates CSP from a lot of other organizations, because in my story, I was given a computer. Some other stories, you're given finances. Whatever those needs are, you're giving them. But in reality, what you need is that continual random acts of love, that continual staying with that person. And what we've noticed that with the Navigator program, those kids are staying in college. Yep. And they are graduating. It reminds me of, like, my son. He was a top recruit in sports, and he went out and he went to these different colleges on this recruiting trip. But the one college, they told us that each kid gets a dedicated academic advisor that goes with them throughout the year. And you look at the graduation rate of that college, you realize that almost 97% of the athletes graduate. That's important. Navigation is important.
So important.
And that's why that's what separates CSP from any other organization out there, is that not only do we give you the help you need financially or those type of things, but we give you a person that can come alongside that truly cares about your success.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And those people are volunteers. Like, basically people from our community just reach out. Do you fill out an easy application saying, I want to be a navigator. This is, I went to college, and then here's a couple things. Some of the questions are even there just trying to match you. What subjects did you like? It's like, oh, great. You liked business. This kid is interested in business, right? Yeah. And so what's the experience been like for you as a navigator? Like, because I know for me, you gain almost as much as you give.
Yeah.
Not more.
I think we gain more than we give. I have this little checklist of all the things I want to make sure I say and make sure I do, and then you get on the call and you start talking to them, and you realize these are real people. These are young people. They have aspirations. They have desire, and you don't want to bust any bubbles, but you want to be there for them, and you start talking to them, and it almost start feeling like your child. And you want them to be successful, and you start giving them things that you think is going to help them be successful, and then they start telling you things back, and next thing you know, you cheering up, you tearing up, yep. And they're like counseling you, and so it's been a great experience. We talk about once a month. We try to talk at least once a month, whether it's virtual or email or on the call. And anytime there's a challenge, I tell my navigator, they have my red button at any time that they can call and say, hey, I feel like In my case, I feel like quitting. I just found out that there's a chasm between my educational background and everyone else, and now I can say, don't quit. Let me explain some things to you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's healing me too, right? It's healing me from the times that I went through things. Typically, when you are counseling people, you're really healing yourself. Because, it's hard to counsel people on things you've never gone through. So if you've gone through them, it's easier to counsel them, and you're actually healing yourself
as you do it.
Point.
So it's, and it really is, like you said, it's not a crazy time commitment where you're like, oh no, I have to do something every day. It's and you have support, because there are like big questions like you as the navigator can answer. I mean, we've got experienced navigators that have been doing this for numerous years who can help out. I mean, Stephanie, who runs basically our manager of our program. Yep. Does a great job helping you out. So there's a lot of support for the navigators as well.
Oh, absolutely. There's, the board is an amazing board. Local business owners, local politicians, local organizational owners. I mean, it's a very robust board. Right. And navigating, being a navigator is a huge opportunity, and being on that board. And we always need more navigators. Yep. Okay, not just the members on the board, but people from our community, people who want to just give back, to understand their college experience, to understand what it's like to be Rocky. Yeah, right. To be the underdog, to be the one that. How did you get in college? How, and you just need someone to whisper loud into your ear every now and then, you can do it. And that's what navigators do. You don't have to be this experienced, educated person, all that. And you don't have to, dress nicely like this young man over here every day and look all nice. And you just have to care. Yeah. It's amazing how just a little bit of care paid forward multiplies in care, and you can make a huge significant difference to your community as a navigator.
It's huge. It's huge.
I've always said that, right? You take care of family, you take care of your community, and the whole world takes care of itself that way, right?
Absolutely.
So Charlie, this has been so amazing. It's so great to have you on. I'm so glad we'll keep doing it. We'll keep having you back. So before I let you go, I've got some info for where people can sign up to be a navigator. Where can people learn more about ISS, Innovative Software Solutions?
So you can learn more about ISS at our website, which is www.issvalue.com. You can also, our number is on that website. You can call that number and get our office.
Fantastic.
So you can support us there. And then there's other opportunities to support us as well. You can support us by being a part of CSP, or being a donor to CSP, or if you're a student in the Charlottesville area, there's a senior apply for this. And then if you are interested in being a navigator to give back, that would be incredible.
That would be huge.
But we also have other programs that we involve with, like Drive for STEM. And Drive for STEM is an annual golf tournament where we also bring the community together to foster communication, diversity, and unity while helping these same youth in STEM opportunities. So if you want to get involved with anything like that as well, that would be great. But CSP, the last thing I say about CSP is that in the last 22 years, we have helped 188 kids, and we've given out just a bit under $1 million.
Wow, that's fantastic.
And I think the only way we can keep this growing is the people that are listening and the people in that community get involved.
Exactly.
Keep supporting and do please. I mean, this is the time that we're looking for navigators. So if you reach out, you can get matched for this academic year with the child. And it's very easy to do. You just go to www.cvillescholarship.com. And then you'll find the information to there's even at the bottom you can click it says email, and you can basically send an email saying, yeah, I'm interested in being a navigator. You can call the number there, or you can just email directly scholars at cvillescholarship.com. Say, I want to be a navigator. Heck, if you want to send me a Facebook message, feel free. Say, Alex, I want to be a navigator. I'll get you in touch with the application and everything. It's a super easy application. We'll get you ready to go, and you can just be part of this amazing organization.
Absolutely.
Charlie, thanks so much.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's a wonderful story. Wonderful.
This was an amazing show. I enjoyed
Amazing
it tremendously.
Day. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Thanks so much for being here with me.
Oh, it's always fun.
I always love it. Next week, we got some great guests as well. We're going to be joined by Catherine Morris, as well as Terry and Christina Arroyo from Plant Studio, Lisa Capraro, the director of It's Art Park, and Matthias Yohn from Matthias Yohn Realty, our good friend. So we got some more great people. Just please support everyone that came out today. The Glitter Bee, Oratorio Society of Virginia, Charlie at Innovative Software Solutions, and as well, of course, the Charlottesville Scholarship Program.
Yeah, all great programs.
All great people doing amazing things in our community. Thank you, of course, to our presenters, to Emergent Financial Services, at Craddock, Sirius Insurance, Castle Hill Cider, Charlottesville Opera. Be sure to so remember, July 1st is the festival, and then in July, or later in July, there will also be those their performances of Tosca and Guys and Dolls. So you got some
Tosca,
great,
that's
some
right.
great performances coming up. Of course,
and Tosca, you can't miss Tosca. I mean, that's a great
opera. Of course. And May 5th, of course, Oratorio Society right here at St. Thomas Church, 8 p.m.
Next
we
week.
Have the two masses that you can see, Arvo Pairt, some Missa Syllabica. And then, of course, Rossini's Petite Messe, which is not petite, as we found out. Of course, thank you for all of you for your great comments. Of course, thank you, Matthias Yohn Realty, Forward Adelante. Thank you, Judah, behind the camera, for making it all work today. We look forward to seeing all of you next week. But until that time, as we like to close it out on the show, hasta mañana.